what's up? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Super Dave back at it again with the PA Political Revolution podcast where we gonna go where as no man has ever gone before. We diving deep down in the corruption, right? We going to take a deep dive in the corruption, right? And we have a special guest of Philip Klein, right? Philip Klein, he occasionally makes the podcast, and we got him in for a good. We're going to talk about race. We're going to talk about corruption. You're going to hear me apologize to white folk about how crazy these black politicians act. Here it is, the show in progress. Yes, today we have the infamous or famous Philip Klein on the podcast right now.
I love you, Dave. I just love my Super Dave.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And can you, for the people that's been under the rock, and I have some new subscribers too, can you please give the people a little bit about you and what you do?
Well, Dave, I'm out of Nederland, Texas, and I've been a political strategist since back in the early 80s. Served a couple of years up at the White House and came home and brought my talents back to Southeast Texas. I own an investigation group, private security team out of Nederland as well. And not only that, but, we have a little political strategy group, and we work hard to try to represent both sides of the fence and try to, boost Southeast Texas. It's since the inception of attack politics, it's time that everybody's voice be heard. And, you can't rely on the government for everything because obviously,
Right.
they're not the greatest at it. And so anyways, that's kind of what we do, Dave.
Okay, that's cool. And speaking on the government, I'm going to talk about our local government, right? Now, I want to go ahead and say in front of everybody, right? I want to apologize for black folks' action, right? For black folks' action on the council. Now, we have some crooks on the council. Now, please do not. So go back and tell the white community, right? Please do not take the actions of these ignorant Negroes as the black community in whole. So remember that whenever you have black folks going up for a job, right? Don't think about these crooks over here on the city council, brother.
I tell you, I thought it would be bad. And excuse me, let me say it this way. It's a better way to say this. I thought it would be bad the way they were representing the nice people of Port Arthur, Texas. And everybody, what's my famous words now? Everybody has a shuck and jive down there.
Right.
I get that. Everybody's got a shuck and jive. Everybody's got a side gig, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to try to make money under the table.
Right.
But I have never seen the biggest cluster of inability to run government that this city council, minus one maybe, this city council in Port Arthur, Texas, has messed up day-to-day operations of the city. You have roads that are completely falling apart.
Right.
The garbage can't get picked up. You have water and sewer lines breaking all over the city. No formal focus on future infrastructure systems.
Right.
You have the fire department where the fire chief walks in one day and gets fired.
Oh man, don't get me started on that.
And he's like, well, what the hell is this about? And come to find out, well, the union had some secret meeting, but they really didn't have a secret meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then the police department, poor Tim Duraso standing over there going, oh my God, this tsunami's coming at me now. And so I think that's what people are kind of, confused about. Everybody is just confused on how Port Arthur is falling apart. But Dave, it's like you and I talked about months ago. Go back in your archives. Listen to it. I told you, and I've told just about anyone who will listen on radio, TV, on my podcast, on this, Port Arthur will crumble upon itself in the next 6 months. And we're 5 months into it. I don't see it getting past this summer. Can you imagine the heat on these pipes, the heat on these roads? Can you imagine what's coming this summer?
Yeah.
The structure fires, the inability of the fire department to be cohesive, to even have a leader. And now we find out there may have been payola to the leadership in the fire department, and the chief calls bull on it, and he gets fired.
Right.
I mean, good God Almighty, what is going on?
And then
but it's Port Arthur.
Yeah. And then to speak on the Chiefs issue, right? That's a good, honest man, right? When I interviewed him, I did a good 2-hour interview. That's the interview of all interviews, right? That's a good, honest man, right? He's from Illinois, right? So he doesn't really have.
Yeah, he's from up north. Let me say something.
Yeah.
That man's from up north.
Right.
That man's from up north. They don't deal with that bullshit up there.
That's
Excuse
what
my
I'm
language.
saying.
They don't deal with that up there.
They don't.
But you come down here and all of a sudden everything's exactly.
They don't deal with that racist bull crap down here. I gotta have one side. I gotta have this other side. This man was actually trying to get the fire department accredited nationally. So, we can perform
and then
better. Go ahead.
We haven't even talked about the EMS craziness.
Right. I was getting there.
I mean,
it falls right into it.
That's just nightmare. That's nightmare, Dave.
Right. And this man wanted to get an EMS that's actually based in Port Arthur. Nothing is wrong with that for Port Arthur, right? It doesn't make any doggone sense if you have the choice of an EMS that has dedicated units in Port Arthur versus one that got to come to Coons, Lumberton, wherever the hell they got to come from down here to service people, right? It doesn't make any sense. And just like another investigators put out there, Wayne Delfino, right? He already showed they had a family that was crying that they had taken for so long to get there, right? And that the person ended up dying from that. So we already seen.
Well, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I've known Wayne Delfino for 25 years. I knew him when he was back at KTRK in Houston. That's how far Wayne and I go back.
Right.
And Wayne and I have had some pretty pointed discussions on the phone about EMS in Port Arthur, Texas.
Yeah.
And that man, he's been talking to the people on the streets, and he's been brought close to emotion 3 or 4 times in just me and him just talking on the phone.
Yeah.
How's it going, Wayne? How's this going? How's that going? Philip, I've read what you've written. How is this happening? And my answer is, you've got people running our government in Port Arthur that don't know how to run government.
Right. And it's not only
that's it. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's corrupt. Because look, we have, I call the service a Killiana ambulance service, right? Because we have these people, they actually allegedly, right, taking bribes, taking kickback money so they can go ahead and run and do what they do. While
you go to an LSU football game or. I know. I've heard all of it. I'm just waiting on some of the receipts myself.
Right. So we having all these problems while people dying over here, right? And this man, like I said in the thing, basically he was trying to save black folks' lives, right? Because the majority of people in the city, black and brown, right? So
exactly. And he's trying to save that hospital.
Right.
He's trying to save the hospital out there.
Yeah, because
and the hospital, have you been out there? Oh my God!
No, I haven't been there.
I don't know how to describe it, dude.
Right. So people from Port Arthur need to see we have more of an emergency crisis that's being led on, right? That's strictly with the EMS service. EMS service, and we already know that the hospital, if I'm not mistaken, they had actually filed for bankrupt, if I'm not mistaken, the parent company.
Yep, bankruptcy.
Well, filed for
they're in full bankruptcy.
So it's kind of in limbo where that hospital is going to go, right? So, we have to watch how we deal with business over here in Port Arthur, because if we
That's
leave it
right.
for the corrupt, a lot of these things going and will happen. So we
Right.
have to take a look at that. So now,
And these guys with city ambulance, I got
yeah,
to say this:
yeah,
these guys with city ambulance, they stepped up to the plate.
yeah, they did, they did.
Uh,
I have nothing but
they
respect
did
for them.
nothing but respect, and they're losing money hand over fist.
Yeah, yeah, and then another thing I want to say about that, we still have them. We still have a Kellyanne ambulance service. I seen them all at the hospital. So they
Yep,
must be doing with transfers. So that's all that should be illegal, man. I think it is
it
illegal. What the
is
chief
illegal.
was saying,
It's against city policy.
right? City policies, city ordinance, right? Because they have to have a
Hmm.
permit to run it. So, man, so we have all of these illegal things, right? We have all of these illegal
Yep.
things. So, what I try to tell people, we can't vote out the corruption. I mean, that's and what we have to start doing is placing the blame on law enforcement, right? You have to.
Right.
I personally, I'm putting the blame on law enforcement, because we need an entity to go ahead and step in or go ahead and clear out everything, right? I'm going to go ahead
Oh,
and
I
lay the.
can't wait. Well,
I'm,
I can't wait till
I'm,
the Rangers are done.
I'm,
The
I'm
Texas Rangers are investigating not only council, but they're investigating the management of the city of Port Arthur.
I hope
And
so.
whether or not they can make a case or not, we'll see. But
Well, look, you can make a case, because I've actually talked to some of the Rangers, right? I talked to some of the
mhm.
Rangers. I forgot his name. I can't think of his name right off the top, right? They were
He's
saying
out
they
of
had to,
Finette. Yeah,
yeah, they
he's out of
saying they have
Finette.
to wait on Daggett or something. It's Daniel something with a D, if
Hmm.
I'm not mistaken, right? So
Right, right.
they have to wait on the DA to go ahead and write a letter. And I was pretty much running them down. So when I talked to him, he was trying to kind of go ahead and sway it like I didn't really know what I was talking about, but I started hitting him with facts, right? So, he wasn't expecting me to kind of come back at him. Like, hold on, brother, this is what you have, this is what you have, this is what you have. And so he pretty much kind of, gave up, right? And he said,
Right.
yeah, you can probably, go after this. It's pretty much kind of having me chasing my tail, right? Pretty much saying that, hey, it's up to the DA now. So, I went and
Right.
talked to the FBI before, right? So the FBI kind of came slick at me and said, hey, you used to work for the city? I said, no, no, no. Well, the thing is with me, since I used to work at the city about 12 years ago, right? And I started doing all of this advocacy since being, terminated from the city. So a lot of people would say, hey, this is a what you call that? A disgruntled worker, right? So I'm like, dude, I haven't been there for 12 doggone years. So obviously somebody that talked to the FBI person about my complaint told them that, hey, I used to work for the city, this isn't it, because who would, that was one of the first things he brought up. So he tried to, so, he didn't think I caught it, but I caught it, and I started telling him about, hey, I have proof of actual RICO violations, right? Council
Right.
member on council, part of a real estate company, voted to have another company buy buy property from them using government money. And that right there
Yep.
is pretty much RICO, You
That
using
is
the
Rico.
government, using the government, you got your real estate as a criminal organization, and you're using that to buy yourself, get money from, federal grants and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
so with all of this
But I
going
feel
on,
sorry for
go
the
ahead.
local. I feel sorry for the local FBI office because their turnover there is just unbelievable.
But yeah, well, if they can't do it, we need the
Their
attorney
workload is
general or
unbelievable.
something.
But
Right.
say that again.
I say, well, and that's so they need to refer it over to the attorney general or somebody, right? Call in extra FBI help or something, because I know it has to be something that they can do. You can't just tell me this corruption can just go, just let it go. Hey, just run amok around here, right? And
It's run amok right now.
yeah, yeah, and to go ahead and further lay the groundwork, right? The
Hmm.
we went after a Beaumont electrician for a lot less for having a double invoice, right? And
Yep.
from preponderance of the evidence, what I looked at, that was the only thing. So that's why they never could get a long, in my opinion, they could never get a long conviction from them because it has something, it was so minute. It's kind of like the double invoice when you go to pay something from Cheddar's or something, and we can get the merchant copy and you have your copy
Yeah.
receipt, kind of something like
Yep.
that. That's how I put it. But we went after him for a lot less. We created this whole propaganda of a task force, right? Came down here just to go after that one person. While they had other things going on over in Port Arthur, and they didn't do anything about it. School district had issues. They didn't do anything about it. So, that further leads the question, why is the law enforcement, the DA, FBI not doing anything? Right? And I believe...
It's a great question.
Well, yeah.
It's a great question.
And I believe, right, some of that is... Now, I know I was going on, playing about apologize and everything for what black folk was doing, right? Now, I believe that the issue is to make these black politicians look like trash, right? So you can have black and white folks say, hey, we don't need no black politicians. They're only going to do nothing but trouble. They're only going to mess up government. They're only going to do this and that. Now, I've heard that before from black and white folks, right? So I heard it from both the sides. But what I try to get people to understand is black folks do not control any corruption mechanism, right? In order to control corruption, black folks has to control law enforcement, right? Which is obviously we do not control that, which black folks do not control that.
You're right about that.
Yeah, and so further on, this leads me to go ahead and look at a lot of the incidents, right? Why, and on a dead giveaway is that, why is it that we've had an innocent white man being terminated, was the fire chief, right? And we'd have a white group of people with the yacht club get their building basically stolen from. I know you want to kind of chime in on that. What do you think about this yacht club?
I mean, that's just unbelievable. Well, they just did. It was modern day thievery is what happened. And you go back all the way to the former director of the Pleasure Island Commission,
Right.
That was really very fiscal about how he spent money. And this is a long time ago. This is 6-7 years ago.
Right.
And how he was very fiscal about how he spent money and fiscally responsible about how he spent money, and how they had this long-term plan on how to try to get that portion of the island as kind of a centerpiece to try to build out on it.
Right.
Well, here comes the storm, right? Here comes the storm,
right.
And there's all that money, FEMA money sitting there, and here come the thieves. And they came in there and they rebuilt all the slips out there. And you remember me writing about it saying, something smells out here.
Right.
Sure enough, it smelled, because what happened was, you get all this millions and millions of dollars. And you get all that money out there, and what happens? What happens is two things. Number one, the money's misspent. Number two, there's payola underneath the table.
Right.
Number three, there's no real reporting system back to FEMA. And the reporting system number four, the reporting system that's in place to FEMA is broken. All right. And it just is, because they're dealing with not one, not two, not three, but they're dealing with 10 storms a season.
Yeah.
And the government can't handle its own business. So what you have, again, I just go back to it. What you have again is simply this, is just a simple breakdown of government. And
Yeah.
everybody looks to government to be this big, strong, big group that's going to take care of us all, and blah blah blah. Well, it's not. It's not built that way.
Yeah.
And Beaumont's headed that direction. And I'm telling you right now, Beaumont, Texas is headed that direction.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the next city that's going to fall. And you watch what I say. You watch what I say. It's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. And it's crazy, right? Because the yacht club basically built that building. They want to kick them out of a building that they had. Man, if I was one of the yacht club presidents, right, I'd burn that building down. I ain't gonna even lie. I would burn that building down right on Pleasure Island and say, yeah, y'all can go ahead and have it. Because it's crazy, man. It don't make any sense. And this kind of begs me to see, hold on, this doesn't really happen too much, right? White folk get harmed by black politicians and nothing is
Mm-hmm.
happening, right? Oh,
Right.
nah, that's like, hold on. These white folks
Mm-hmm.
ain't that white. They kind of treating them like black folk.
Well, it makes the Carl Parker crowd look like church angels. You
Right.
know,
Well.
I mean, it really does.
Well, yeah, it's coming from the same. Well, to me, it's coming from the same. All the same players, right? Same players.
Right.
Just Carl Parker, just maybe
Same thing.
lateral from the
Yep.
others.
Well, he's in the ground lateral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not here
And God
anymore.
bless his family, and God
Right,
bless
yeah, yeah.
Beverly, and we don't want to see anybody get infirm, sick, and die. We don't like to see that. But
Yeah, go.
the bottom line is, it is going to be what it is going to be.
Yeah. God bless his son, because I just seen that his Miss Beverly, she had passed soon after that, like about a couple of weeks
Oh
after
yeah.
that, a
Well,
month or so.
everybody knew. Everybody, they were two peas in a pod, and you knew that was going to happen.
Right. So we digress off of that, and
Okay.
back over here to white folks getting treated like black, right? And nothing's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, go ahead and let me further lay down some of the foundation, because we have to go back to when we had the Brian McDougal, right? Brian McDougal and Patrick Melvin, right?
Right.
Both of those people, they came here because of their knowledge, so called, of the Indian reservations, and that whole hope of Port Arthur having a casino across the Pleasure Island, right?
Right.
They came down here and they straight ran havoc on the Port Arthur the police department, right? Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
talk to any Port Arthur Police Department personnel from that time, they will easily tell you that there was an attack from the district attorney's office back then to go ahead and control corruption, allegedly, right? Talk to
Mm-hmm.
anybody from them, because if you want to control gambling, you got to control, the law enforcement, right? So you have that fiasco going on. Okay, got through that fiasco. Now, if you remember, during the hurricane, there was a story from the Beaumont Enterprise. We had Morfino, right? It's in the news. Morfino came down to Port Arthur and got $60,000 for providing this food truck service, right? From what I'm hearing,
Mm-hmm.
sandwiches or something, right? He got $60,000. We already had a person on reserve from that was coming down here. We had to pay them $20,000 because we canceled that food truck because they was on the way from out of town for the Morfino, and that was right here, right? So we end up paying $80,000. 20 of it was because we canceled somebody in progress. 60,000 pay for Morfino to give some type of food, right? Whatever he had in the food truck, right? Catering
Right.
services during the storm. I don't know how much meat you
Right.
can get from that, and it'll be good for them 3 days, but hey, whatever he had. And now, how can I go to the DA, talk to them about corruption, when the city of Port Arthur just paid one of the members of the district attorney's office $60,000 for a catering service, right? How can I do that? That may be like what a conflict of interest. Some people may call it money laundering, right? These are all allegations. I don't have any proof of this. This is, I'm going off of a story that was in the Beaumont Enterprise, right? Everything that I'm saying is just speculation, just to make you think, and also maybe for a little bit of entertainment. So, had to get the disclaimer out the way. You want to chime in on that? If you kind of, you got any your knowledge, you remember seeing that or something?
Well, I don't have much knowledge into this
Right.
situation, but I will say it goes back to procurement. So you have to go back to the procurement department at the city of Port Arthur. You get into the procurement department, then you see how they work things. Then you start researching like Joe Schmo Lawn Service. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Who's cutting grass over at Joe Schmo Lawn Service? Who is that person that owns that company connected to? Then you start connecting the dots. That's the only way to do it. But you can't get a law enforcement agency and you can't get anybody to get their attention because Tim's not going to, Durso's not going to do it over at Port Arthur PD
Right, right.
because he's short in staff, number one. Number two, they have more crime down there than they know what to do with and trying to make cases as fast as they can. And they're having to pick and choose what cases to make and what cases not to make. And so basically what you find yourself in is you got the local police that can't do anything. Okay, let's bring it to the county. If you think the county sheriff is going to touch that, you got another thing coming.
Oh no,
She,
no.
she's not going to touch it because it's hot political and she's a political elected official. Okay, so then who do you go out to from there? You go out to the Texas Rangers and you go to the Rangers and say, hey guys, we need help out here. We need you guys to come in and clean this place up, right? You're
Right.
with me, right?
Yeah.
Well, they come back and say, well, okay, that's great, but here's what we need. We need a signature from the DA asking us to do this. Oops, now you're back to an elected official. Well, he sure as hell
Yeah.
is not going to do it because it's too
Right.
much of a political hot potato for him. All right, let's go out another one. You go out to the FBI. FBI will tell you, hell, we're shorthanded. We can't keep people in the FBI. So then they say, well, why don't you go out one more band? Okay, who would that be? Texas Attorney General. Go to the Texas Attorney General. Texas Attorney General doesn't have anybody. Goes out another band. So by the time, Dave, you get out to where everything should or shouldn't be, it's so far exhausted and exhaustive that there's no law enforcement that will handle it. And that doesn't even bring in prosecution. What, you got the Eastern District of Texas that's going to prosecute anything?
Right, right.
They're
Yeah.
not going to prosecute shit. So there you go. That's where you are, Dave. That's where everything is today. That's where it is.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
see
you
that.
can't change it.
And then
Our government is failing us.
yeah. Yeah.
Government's failing the people.
And then you wonder why some people call disband the law enforcement, right? Well, heck, if the law enforcement don't want a law enforcement, that's what you kind of get, right? See, the whole thing with this corruption down here, right? They didn't think a black man was going to call for um, the persecution, the indictment of black politicians, right? See, because they think they think most of us are simple, right? They think that hey, a white man coming after black council members is automatically racist. But no, see, I understand. In my opinion, I understand racial politics and racial propaganda, right? I understand we have the sellouts like Barty, Frank, Kinlaw, Hamilton are all being used, right? They so stupid. They all being used to perpetrate the propaganda that black folks are incompetent on the doggone council, right? And you have people like Barty, right? By his own words, a two-time loser, right? He's never going to be worth crap in his life, right? So this is the only way he can have some type of legacy, right? Some type of legacy by falsifying it and false claiming it, right? But you have people like me, and you, but I'm down here right here in Port Arthur that's calling all of this trash out, right? I'm calling, no,
Right.
no, you can't, I'm not going to let you, who is a sellout use black folk to commit this corruption because you're doing it under the guise of racism, right? You fall in a racist plan, but they using your dumb ass as a puppet, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a puppet to
Mm-hmm.
make all the black folk look doggone, stupid. So and they
Right.
don't and they thinking that I'm gonna be like, no, leave Barty alone. He a black man. No, Barty is trash to the black community. Barty is a cancer to the black community and pastors, right? He makes
Oh, he's okay. Well, you take it one step further.
yeah. Go
Look,
ahead, brother.
you can say he is a cancer to the black community. Okay, I
Yeah,
get it. But let's take it a little wider.
right.
He's a cancer to Jefferson County, Texas.
Oh yes,
He's a
absolutely.
cancer to blacks. He's a cancer to whites.
Hmm.
He's a cancer to Mexican Americans. He's a cancer to the Chinese community.
Right,
He's a, he he's a cancer.
yeah,
He's a
the
cancer. He's a
Pakistanis,
cancer.
the
He's
Indian
in
community,
over
yeah,
his head, and he has an alternative objective,
right.
and that's it.
And
There you
understand,
go.
yeah, and understand, for them to go ahead and do something like, um, go ahead and attack those people with attack the fire chief, and also attack
Mm-hmm.
the the yacht club, he has to get permission. And
Yep.
I guarantee you he got permission from somebody that's other
Yep.
than black to go ahead and
Yep.
commit that, right? So
Yep. That's right.
it's straight corruption, and the main purpose of this podcast I want to do, right, is to let
Yep.
people understand this place is riddled with corruption, and the only way that we going to get out, we can't vote it out because they're going to have different people. They're going to have more corrupt people coming in. Like they're going to have Charlotte
Mm-hmm.
Moses, coming in or whatnot. So they're going to,
Oh
my
boy.
opinion, that's corrupt. So we coming
Here we
from
go.
horse crap to bull crap, right? You choose the
Yep.
crap. What you like this consistency of this horse crap, or you like the
Mm-hmm.
consistency of bull crap? So we
And
get
you
to
know what? And remember? Do you remember what I told you? Do you remember what I told you a long time ago about uh, who are two environmental activists down there? I'm having a mental blank right now.
right.
Um,
J-
who's
John
John?
John Beard and Kelly,
Yeah, and Hilton Kelly.
right?
Then you get the two. I call them the Pied Pipers. The
Hmm.
Pied Pipers come running through the community saying, "Everyone's dying, everyone's dying, everyone's dying," and the chemical companies come back and go, "No, they're not. No, 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 no. Where are you getting this from?" Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get a bucket out, and the bucket's going to tell me whether or not they're dying. And then all of a sudden, within a period of 2 or 3 years, here comes all of this money from the oil industry saying, here's a million here, a million there, here's a million there. Ooh, let's build the Port Arthur endowment fund that will fund ideas to make Port Arthur grow. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think Port Arthur's any better than it was 5 years ago?
No, tell you the truth.
No.
But I do
How
have.
many millions of dollars have been injected into Port Arthur by both the government? This number will surprise you, by the government and by industry. How much money? Give me a number.
Oh, I don't know. It's probably a lot.
$20 million.
Yeah, I can believe that.
You can't even get anybody to go cut the grass over there at the side. You know how many times I put that picture up where they don't even cut the grass, or the electric sign doesn't even work over on the West Side development area.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's embarrassing.
right, yeah. And then a lot of,
It's embarrassing to we as taxpayers.
and then the thing
I
with
don't know.
that, yeah, you have the industries in bed. Well, you have the politicians in bed with the industry, right? So that's where you have a lot of that going on. We have the politicians that sold us out now. Now I must have to interject, right, with John Beard. This recent LNG pause, John Beard spoke a lot of truth, and he embarrassed he embarrassed or stupid mayor, right? Because that's what happened when the first LNG pause hearing where they had at the when they had it recorded, right? You had John Beard speak, you had a representative from Lamar and the port speak,
Yeah,
and you had
but
Barty. Hold
Dave,
on, hold on. Barty he sat up there and told these white folk, right? We don't have the people qualified for the jobs.
he's right.
No, hell no, he's
But
ain't right.
wait, 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 wait,
He
wait,
is
wait.
not right.
How many
He is
jobs have
wrong.
now been lost? How many jobs have now been lost at the LNG project? You have a company that's now gone bankrupt. You have all these jobs that have now been lost down at the plants. You have bills coming out of people's ears down there that they're not going to be able to pay until the bankruptcy court steps in and starts making people pay. This has been another fiasco at the hands of Hilton Kelly and John Beard.
Now I have to step in. I can't say that John Beard and Hilton
I
Kelly.
can.
Hold on,
I love John
hold
Beard.
on.
I treat John Beard like he's my brother. I love John Beard. We sit there and we break bread together, and we talk and we laugh. And I haven't seen him in a while,
Right,
but
right.
I'm going to tell you, John messed up. John brought down a very, very, very big project,
That company,
and
that company going bankrupt. I can't. That's poor mismanagement. How can that company? How can that
because they
company?
shut it down.
Well, they had a pause, right? They had a, but they were still working out there. They had
No, 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 no. They're shut down.
but they
They're
was
shut
working
down.
out there. They just recently got furloughed. They just man, it was
The
on the news.
division. Let me say this to you:
Go ahead, go ahead.
the division of that company that was doing the LNGA side is shut down, and they've gone bankrupt,
Well, they went, yeah, they went
and they're
back.
not coming back.
Look, they went back. Who was that? Was Zachary, right? Look, Zachary went bankrupt.
Hmm
You listen to them.
Zachary
Look.
Construction, who
You
was building
listen.
the crack.
You
Go
you
ahead. Yeah.
look you look at all the people that was commenting on that 12 News article, right? All of them were saying
hmm
they had financial mismanagement, right? All they were saying they been had those problems. That was mismanagement. That wasn't because of a pause. They were still working out there. They was working.
No, no, no,
They
no,
was
no, no.
working.
They were robbing Peter to pay Paul. What they were doing is part of the company had to shut down, so they had to pay the payroll on that, and they paid what is the payroll a week? I think was like $7 million a year. So what is that? Divide that up. So that's roughly 500, 600, 700,000 dollars every 2 weeks, not including taxes. And so the money's not there anymore. So
Okay.
where's the money going to come from?
Okay, but if it's
The money's not coming from anywhere anymore.
right,
It's over.
but the payroll stopped. If the work stopped, I can understand the money coming in stop, but the payroll
Hmm
should stop. If you don't have no work, who you paying?
That's right.
So that's what I'm
That's
saying.
right. But
So I can't say that Beard and Kelly caused that company to bankrupt because if the work is
no,
stopped,
but they caused the shutdown, which shut down which shut down the employees working, which shut
right?
down their paychecks,
Yeah,
which shut down the operations down there in building.
right.
That's what happened.
Just,
But nobody wants to talk about that.
okay, but okay, what happens if they would have finished the project? They would have shut. They would have stopped work anyway. That means if you saying
Then
this company,
that's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying shutting down one park, keeping another park going. I'm not getting into that conversation. The
no,
conversation I'm having is jobs were taken away for ridiculous reasons, and finally the EPA came back in and said, "Well, you know what? Y'all may be right. This is ridiculous." But it was too late, is what I'm trying to tell you.
right?
It
Yeah.
was way too late.
But if you're saying that the company went bankrupt because the work stopped, right? To me, that's it's kind of hard to compute because okay, I understand the work stopped. What if the work would have been finished? It would have been stopped anyway. So whether it stopped now or later, it
Yeah.
shouldn't cause that company to bankrupt. You see what I'm saying? If you stop work,
Well, you know what?
your
Unless you're in
money.
their accounting department, they pay them. They pay them when you do a contract like this, like building a road. They'll give you they'll give you 40% up front. And then when you get through 60% of the job, they'll give you 70%, and then they'll hold the rest until the job is over, and then they'll give you the money.
Yeah, but that's
And that's how that all works.
right.
And I don't know what the percentages were or the ratios were. I don't know what any of that was. I just know there's a lot of people that have packed up their ponies and have left this area.
Right. Yeah. Now that portion I can agree with, yeah. But a lot of them was out of town, right? But a lot of them was,
Yep.
a lot of them was out of town folks. So I mean, it's really
Well, may have been a lot of out of
town.
town folks, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of in town folks too.
Yeah,
I mean, I know 5 people in my neighborhood alone that were out there doing the payroll and doing the drawings and doing the what we call the tinker toys.
Right.
That were doing the tinker toy put together, and those were engineers. Those are big time guys.
Yeah.
And so they're gone now. So, there's that, right?
Right. And and that's why I say too, you have you have buddies that I'm speculating, right? With Zachary, you have buddies and non-qualified people running in there taking them jobs from other qualified people that could have been doing the job. And that's one reason why you majorly have this stuff, right? It's definitely a lot of qualified people over here in the city of Port Arthur for these refinery jobs, permanent oil contractors. That's just the main thing. And then, it's no reason for a person to keep the jobs if they're not getting the benefit from them, right? The only thing that, we would get is the hazards from the refinery stuff. But we can kind of look past that if we got the jobs from it, you understand? So,
That's right.
We can kind of look past that to kind of work with the plants if we had the jobs. But since most of the people in the city don't have the jobs, right? And that's why you have certain environmental pushbacks. And that's what John Beard made Barty look like a fool, because he was basically telling people that, hey, we don't have the jobs and this and that. But, John Beard, killed them on that. And so that, and that's another thing, right? He's been sent to be a sellout, right? He's sent to take down the black community. He looks black. He's a pastor. So, that will make him a danger in our community, right? He couldn't go nowhere else. He couldn't go nowhere in Neyland, Groves, Port Natchez, Coons, Lumberton. And nobody would respect this fool. You know what I'm saying? So but it's getting like that down here. Many people don't really respect him. Only just that corrupt circle that they have, right? These different families and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the main.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, I've got people here that are fixing to take me away. So.
Oh yes, sir. No problem. I
gotta get moving. Hey, I love you, Super Dave. You keep doing what you're doing. You're bringing it to everybody's attention. That's what it's about.
Oh, yes, sir. No problem. Take it easy, brother.
Okay, my brother. You need anything, let me know.
All right.
Have a great.
Bye. And everybody, that's it. Everybody, hey, I sure do appreciate it. Share, like the program, talk about it. Until the next again, this is Super Dave with the PA Political Revolution Podcast. Take it easy. Peace.